The Raywood and Elmore farmers, with support from the North Central Catchment Management Authority and with funding from the Australian Government's National Landcare Program, are trialling practices to protect their soils and increase their soil carbon, increase biodiversity and vegetation across their farm, as well as adapt and manage to a variable climate. So far the results are promising.
So my mum Jo and I run around 2,000 acres of red loam soil up here at Runnymede in northern Victoria. We're predominantly graziers, so prime lamb and dealers. Mostly we've tried to sow down a lot of paddocks to perennial pastures, phalaris and lucerne. Typically 450 to 500 mil annual rainfall here. So where we were is conventional farming, so set stocking, monoculture crops and that kind of thing. So that was predominantly what we're up to.
So we're predominantly dry land farming. There's a little bit of irrigation through some centre pivots. Mixture of cropping and sheep. So we're running about 2,300 ewes and then cropping on a sort of a 4-year rotation cropping with canola, wheat and barley, then back to a canola which is generally undersown with lucerne and clover. So which leads into our pastures are predominantly dry land lucernes with hopefully clover growing as well.
About 60% crop, 40% sheep, predominantly canola, oats, wheat and barley. Do dabble in a few other things. Lucerne's our main pasture, do a bit of export hay and things like that, and domestic hay as well. So merino sheep is the game that I like to play. Lots of people around here do their fat lambs. Nitrogen is something that trying to work on at the moment. So in that lucerne phase, in the pasture phase, fixing more nitrogen for the cropping phase is what really trying to focus on. Here it was a lower production paddock. As I say, it's one of our worst soils. Lucerne paddock that had got tired, trying to get more summer feed. It was a birdseed mix of all different species. I'm going to have another go at it, but I'm going to add a couple more things into it as well, just refining it for this area a bit better.
Yeah, so when we joined the group, we were looking to, I guess, enhance our soil and our property and maximise what we were growing and use the farm to its full potential, I guess. So when we joined the group, one of the things that stood out most to us was multi-species cover cropping. So looking at planting a whole different variety of plants all in one crop, not just as a monoculture, as a means of growing a lot more feed to begin with, but also servicing the soil and priming the soil. So that was probably the thing that stood out to us most when we first joined the group, and we thought that that's something we'd give a go.
Well, so this was a multi-species of 13 different varieties, or different species I should say, with a mixture of cereals, legumes, safflower, canola, tillage radish, which has been a bit of an exciting plant for us. It's been a trial that's allowed us to see what happens in a paddock that's had some issues in terms of waterlogging and compaction. And it'll be interesting now seeing how that goes forward into our cropping program to see what benefits we've been able to achieve by incorporating this multi-species mix in. But like I said, the growth that you can see this year has been enormous, and the variety of plant species which has been really impressive. How well the sheep have done grazing on those species.
We got the 30 mil of rain, it all came up and then we didn't get another drop until Christmas. And it was amazing what did survive and what grazing I did get off it, and how much regrowth I did get after. We did get rain after Christmas, but a lot of the species didn't carry on as far as your oats and things like that, and a bit of the wheat in there, but others such as the canola really surprised me, and sunflowers. If nothing else, they're just good for the mental health to see a paddock full of sunflowers. So.
And we sowed the cover crop in winter multi-species mix, so we had a mix of grasses, legumes and brassicas. And we wanted to go in with no-till, so disturb the soil as little as possible. Yeah, so we're sort of taking that paddock on a pathway to be priming the soil and maintaining ground cover throughout the year where possible. So we're thinking maybe at this stage we might be going in with a summer multi-species cover crop as well, just to keep the soil being rejuvenated probably over the next 2 seasons.
So definitely had cover and good quality cover for a long time in here now. And as we dug before, you can see there's good root mass through the winter. The feed value that I got off this small paddock, like this is only 22 hectares, this paddock was huge. I had 20 ewes on here, and they held, if not put condition on. They came out as fat as mud while they got twin lambs swinging off them. So an amazing feat really.
We're absolutely wrapped with the results of this first trial that we've done. It's just been astounding to us to see how much a tired paddock can be turned around in a short period of time with minimal artificial inputs. And so we are sort of hoping to create a whole system in the farm whereby everything's working together, and where possible we're sort of getting free stuff. You know, if we look after our nitrogen fixing bacteria, then we don't need those synthetic nitrogen inputs. We're planting a lot of trees to get our predatory beneficial insects and that kind of thing.
Talking to other farmers with stimulus in front of you, such as Harm Van Rees talking the other night, that's always good. I get more out of after the meeting when we all stand around and have a beer and have a chat. Right, what did you get out of that? Oh, and the bloke next to you will see something different that you didn't see. I like that side of it. The moisture probe, as I was saying earlier, that's an extremely useful tool for me that I use very, very regularly for not only knowing the moisture in my soil, but from the weather station as well for my spraying and things like that. Really ticks a lot of boxes. So that's a big plus for me.
This is where I think it's ticking a few boxes for us, that it can deliver on our cropping program, but also because we're probably more into sheep than cropping, it's really delivering also on that winter feed gap.
We're absolutely wrapped with the results of the multi-species, so yeah, we're thinking we'd love to sow down the whole farm. I mean, where we have time, we'll start early next year and we'll see how far we can get.